that messing with a 4-year-old is wrong?
In some cases, yeah, but
No. You know that messing with a 4-year-old at 12 is wrong. You know, come on. Do you see anybody else at 12 years old walking around with a 4-year-old girlfriend, walking hand in hand or kissing or? No.
We are about to watch the disturbing case of a monster who started doing that to his 4-year-old niece after his sister, the child's mother, passed away. He did it for years, for over maybe a decade. And now, after serving just 4 years of his 8-year sentence, he has a chance at parole. With that, let's jump in.
Ian Sherard, 421-327.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Ian Sherard, 421-327. He is serving a sentence of 16 years, executed suspended after serving 8 years, followed by 10 years probation for illegal sexual contact victim less than 16 years old. He is to appear on the sex offender registry for 10 years. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of March 1st, 2024. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows he has completed the short track sex offender program, voices, tier 2, and he works as a janitor. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the low range of risk for recidivism. Utilizing the static 99R, the offender's overall score for sexual offense recidivism falls within the low to moderate range. Mr. Sherard, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Well, thank you for seeing me. I've been waiting for you guys since this day, so I appreciate it. But I believe I should receive this because I am a changed person from that time that I did these things. I was young at that time, and I wasn't thinking. I was immature. My self-esteem was low, and it just wasn't me. I was young and dumb at that time. But over the years, I matured. I had life experiences that matured me into what I am now, and I'm way different than what I was when I was a kid. And I believe that everybody deserves a second chance in life, even when it's the heinous crime. I believe I do deserve, a second chance, and I just want to go home and be with my family and help them to move forward. And I believe that it happens. So yeah, I believe that I've matured since then, and I'm a way better person now. So.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sherard. We'll ask you some questions, kind of help the process for you a little bit. And then we'll deliberate and give you our decision about parole at the end of today's hearing.
Okay.
Okay, panel member Page.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Sherard, I appreciate your opening statement. I would have loved to hear you say something about the victim and the impact that your actions have had on her. So would you like to touch base on that for now?
Yeah, I could definitely say something about my niece. My niece, I never meant to hurt my niece. I never meant to really mess with her mind, at that time. I was young at the same time too, so I didn't really know how to become.
I want you to stop saying that you were young. Our records indicate that did this happen over a span of almost 11 years and that you were 26?
No, nothing happened. Nothing happened when I was 26. That was when they reported it. They went to a therapist because there were some actions that was happening where she was living at, as far as her behavior. She was behaving, stealing and fighting and stuff with her friends. And
Yeah,
they
no,
were-
okay, let's get off that. I want to know how old were you?
I started when I was around 12, 13. And
And she was 4?
yeah, around that time, yeah.
Okay. Oh, but you know that 12 years old, that messing with a 4-year-old is wrong.
In some cases, yeah,
No.
but
No. You know that messing with a 4-year-old at 12 is wrong. You know, come on. Do you see anybody else at 12 years old walking around with a 4-year-old girlfriend, walking hand in hand or kissing or? No.
no. I just, like I said, I was messed up and my mental health was off. That's all it was. I wasn't in my mind at that time. I was young and dumb. And I regret it to this day that I made those mistakes.
So from 12 years old, that you said it started, up until you're 21, 20, you were doing this to her?
No, I was about 17.
So why did she say 4 to 13?
That didn't happen. It
What's
didn't
that?
happen at
Four
that
to-
time.
What's that? 9 years? Is that 9 years? Or 11 years? 9.
He was between 14 and 23 years old.
Right, okay. Oh, thank you. It's Miss Chance. Miss Chance, you were right about the last one being MB, like boy. Okay, sorry.
The victim's initials on the last one.
I apologize, Mr. Sherard. So
Was right.
So all right.
we're right. So it said, how old, Miss Chance? How old, Miss Chance?
He was between 14 and 23, and she was between 4 and 13.
So where did 12 come from?
No, 12 was when I remember specifically that 12 was the time that I did these things. This is
Okay,
right around the time when my sister her mother passed away. It was about 2 years after
Okay.
she passed away.
so after her mom died, you did this to her? And then, so at 4, okay, so let's just say, so at 13, you didn't know it was wrong?
I mean, I did in a sense, but at the same time, I like I said, my mental health was
Okay, so how about 14?
out of whack. I mean,
15?
it was on and off, and you know,
At 15, did you know assaulting her was wrong?
it was on and off, and then at the time 17, I said, you know, this was it. And then after that, I started doing with other relationships after, and I wasn't doing anything with
You're
her.
not answering my question. I'm saying to you, regardless of whether you're 6 or 56, you know the difference between right and wrong. And that's a simple answer. And that answer would be yes, because I'm sure your parents taught you right and wrong. Don't do this. If you go out into the street, you may get hit by a car. You don't touch the stove because it may be hot. You know the difference between stealing something from a store and paying for it. That's right or wrong. So you had an idea of what was right and wrong. And I think you knew that what you were doing was wrong, but yet and still you continue to engage because it sounds as if you're trying to help us gain a better understanding of why you were doing what you were doing. And that's completely different from knowing right from wrong. So now that I interrupted you as you were talking about the impact that this actions have had on your niece. Please continue. What would you say to her? Start there. If she were sitting here today and said, Uncle Ian, why'd you do this to me? Why me? Why did you choose me?
I never meant to hurt her, and like I said, I'm gratefully sorry that I did it to her, and I just want to make it up to her and be the best person, best uncle that I can be going forward. I know I can't change nothing in the past. I can't do nothing about that, but I'm talking from sincerity, from the bottom of my heart. Church, God, I've been seeking, and I'm not that person no more. I'm totally.
I understand that. I understand that. No, I do. Because you're older now. You're old enough to see what you've done to this child. However, there will come a day when she will want to know why. And I think you need to think about that. And as a victim, if I were the victim, the last thing I would want to hear about was you and where you were. What I would want to hear as a victim is I was selfish. It wasn't about you ever. You just happened to be there, kind of thing. Because that's exactly what happened. That's the truth. It isn't who you are today, but the truth of the matter is I made a poor decision. I chose you because you were available. Kind of thing. And that's the truth. And please forgive me. That's it. Simple. I understand that you have some things that you were going through and that you're going to continue to work on those things. But, when we talk about the victim, it has nothing to do with you or your mental health. It has everything to do with you took away her innocence. You robbed her of her childhood. You did things to her that will cause her to forever not trust a man. To think that the men that are in her life that are supposed to protect her may potentially harm her. That's a lifelong term. Some of the decisions she may find herself in toxic relationships, all because of this. It's an everlasting effect. Nonetheless. Sorry. So you do rate out low. You have completed the program. You have not received any disciplinary infractions. And tell us what you've learned in the sex offender program that will help you avoid these situations in the future.
What I learned was risk factors and protective factors. Risk factors being around any minors or something like that will cause me to react to, similar stuff that I did as a teenager at that time, which
Yeah.
I would never do that again. I'm not that person, and I was never that type to, go jumping from one kid to another. That wasn't me. It was just that incident with my niece. And protective factors, pretty much putting myself, like getting a job or doing something with my mind so my mind won't stay idle, for me to end up thinking in that way or doing something that I would regret later on down the road. So that's one of the big things that I took away from that class. And that was the one that really stuck with me.
Okay, and what about when you return home? I know you want to go and live with your father. Is your family divided because of this?
Not necessarily. I still talk to my mother. I still talk to my father, my brother. A few of my cousins. They're all behind me. We're a Christian family too, so we have to forgive. But we don't forgive, but we have to forgive.
Okay.
And
Yes, you do. When you are involved with someone else later on in life, your wife or whoever, do you intend to share with them what you've done to this victim?
I mean, I have no choice. If you want to be honest, if you want to be, I have no choice. You got to be totally honest with with your partner as far as your, you know, your background and stuff, because you don't want to, you know, let them find out later in life and then
Exactly.
look,
All you have to
look
do is type your name up. It's
Yeah.
every-
straight up on Google. So you might as well just be honest, straightforward, and
Yep.
let them know what they're getting themselves into, and then let them make that decision if they want to stick with you or not. So
You think that that would be difficult for you to do? To open up to someone that you don't know and say, listen, I'm a former sex offender. And they'll say, well, why? And then you'll make up a lie.
no, I can't make up a lie. I have to be honest. You know, I'm changed. I'm different.
Okay.
And I'm always that type, to be honest. You guys, a lot of people that can vouch for me, like the pastor that I used to work for. I was a camp counselor during this time too, so I dealt with a lot of kids and
You won't be able
taking.
to do that. You won't be able to do that now.
No, I know that, but this was when I was young, when I was in my teenage years. I'm not a camp counselor now, but
Oh,
that's
I
what-
know that you're not a camp counselor. I'm just saying that you were saying that you used to interact with them and help out, but I'm saying that you're not going to be. Life for you that you have as you knew it is completely.
I know.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Page. I do not have any questions. I thought you pretty much covered everything. Ms. Chance?
Yes, I wanted to follow up maybe one thing. So, you were asked if you knew what you were doing was wrong, and you said at first you did not know, but as you got older, you knew, but you still continued. That was the response that you gave to the PO, but you gave a little different response to Mrs. Page today.
Of course you do.
When as you said, I said that when I got older. I mean, 17, yeah. I mean, that's why, you know, I stopped, you know. I what was the response I gave to Miss Logan? I thought I'd get this same response.
Yeah, you said at first you didn't know, so that may have been when you started earlier on, but he said as you got older, you knew, but you continued for your own pleasures.
Well,
That's what you said.
Yeah, well, yeah, I said the same thing to Miss Logan too, because she did tell me that
Right,
at a sense, you know, I did know, but at the same time, when I got older, I knew, but I stopped. I stopped once I understand, because I did hear other stories from different people about certain situations that it was similar to mine. So I didn't want to continue to do that for my niece, because I know it was wrong. It was wrong, pretty much. And I was selfish in that case.
so do you think going forward that you're going to be able to have a normal relationship?
It'd probably be a struggle at first. It'll probably be a struggle, but I mean, I'm not gonna give up. You know, there might be one person. There might be one person that might, you know, put everything to the side and know my real character, and know that I am a real good person, and that I am a mature, accountable person that would, you know, take accountable for his actions. So you know, I believe there's someone out there, you know, when that time comes, it comes. You know, I'm not in a rush, but comes, it comes.
Okay, thank you. I'm all set.
Thank you, Ms. Chance.
Madam Chair, I haven't voted to parole. This is his only criminal offense. He would benefit from the supervision of the special management unit out in the community. He's sort of a low risk in terms of his recidivity. He has received no disciplinary infractions, and he's taken the appropriate program. I think that he's a suitable candidate for discussion.
Agreed. And there was a letter of support written on his behalf, speaking to helping him when he returns to the community.
Yeah, and I know that the judge outlined a whole bunch of recommendations for him when he goes back in the community. And, you know, I mean, he absolutely says that he has to do all of these things when he goes out. Do you know the Sterling Center?
No, where's that at? I heard of it, but I don't know. Where's it?
Shelton?
I think it's in Shelton, but I think that's probably where the court recommended that you go. I guess because of the services that they offer there. But I guess the more important thing is you're going to live with your father in Bridgeport, right?
Right.
Okay, all right.
So we're in agreement, all right, no contact with minors, problem sexual behavior treatment, and no contact with the victim DP. Anything else?
I have a restriction on pornography.
Okay.
That's in the description that he was doing with her.
All right, so in the matter of Ian Sherard, 421-327, there's a motion to grant parole on or after May 31st, 2024, with the following stipulations. Treatment, problem sexual behavior treatment, no pornography, no contact with minors without the parole officer's permission, and no contact with the victim DP. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right, Mr. Sherrod, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
as
very much.
Ms. Chance pointed out, there's a number of conditions for you upon your release.
Okay.
You're all set, Mr. Sherrod. You'll get all your paperwork next week. This also concludes the Brooklyn Correctional hearing for Friday, May 31st. It is 3:54 p.m.
Again, I'm just completely baffled at what we just watched. It's like, make it make sense. This is so disturbing. I had to watch and rewatch this hearing, and I just couldn't make it make sense. You look at him, he's actually, he looks completely befuddled. Like, actually, he's authentically confused, maybe, about, well, no, I mean, at 14 years old and she was 4, I really didn't know it was wrong. And it's like, dude, like, just think for one moment. He did this, and he lies throughout the hearing, because Miss Chance, she reads exactly what it is, how long it was. It was from his age, from 14 years old till he was 23. She was 4 to 13, and he kept saying, no, it's not true. It's not true. I was 12. I remember. And they're like, they have the record, and they kind of just let him get away with those lies. But you don't have this happening and to say, I didn't know it was wrong. I mean, every year he was hiding it. He knew it was wrong because otherwise people would have found out. Think about the manipulation. Think about what he would have to tell her to make sure that she never told anyone. Think about every moment, every aspect. It would have been a secret between just him and her for a decade. He's a monster. And I can't even help but look at the coincidental dates of when he claims, not when he claims to stop, when the record says it stopped. He kept lying, and they kept letting him get away with it. He's like, oh no, I was 17 when it stopped. That meaning he'd only lasted for like 3 years. And because other people told me, and we know it stopped at 23 when she just turned 13 years old. And I just can only think of, maybe she outgrew his desires, and that's why it stopped. She finally reached an age where he just didn't care. And then think about that. For some reason, a judge only said that he needs to be on the registry for 10 years. This guy's young. He's, as of today, I think 32 years old. So at 42, off the registry. Then he can go get a pardon. We've seen how easy that is in Connecticut. And then you find out that he's working with children as a counselor. It just sent shivers down my spine. I think it's like, it is so scary. We are looking at a predator, a monster, someone who is ingrained in his DNA. There's something so seriously wrong. His sister's child after she dies. And there's no one here. There's no DA. There's no one on behalf of that poor girl who just is having everyone fail her. Every family member, to the entire justice system. And he says nothing redeeming. There was not one thing that came out of his mouth that showed remorse, that showed accountability. There were zero redeeming factors, and this was a rehearing. But because he took programs and didn't get write-ups, which they don't get write-ups, he should get out after serving just 4 years? There's no details on this case. There's no news articles because it's just a child. He says in his parole interview, you know, I'm not a risk. I never went from child to child. It was just my niece. I only had one victim, just my niece. He says it so nonchalantly. In the same breath, I was a counselor. Like not even tying in the fact that as soon as you hear that, anyone with like common sense would be like, "Oh my God." He brings up in the words, like word salad. He didn't even know how to like string it together. He goes like, "Oh, church, Christian. I'm from a good family." My priest, he's a low to moderate risk to reoffend, which is high, right? Low to moderate. Usually it's just low. And so he had a 16-year sentence, 8 years suspended. So he had just an 8-year sentence, and he only serves 4 of that. And you know, also with the legislation and this plea deal, which disturbs me, is that his offense is for doing this to someone under the age of 16. And it's like, are you guys kidding me? You know, it's just a weak DA and a weak judge all over the place. I mean, his charge, what he gets charged for is risk of injury to a minor, sexual C. And he's only been locked up since September 11th of 2020. And it's like, she was 4 years old. You really are going to say under 16? She was 4 years old. There's nothing in this parole hearing. There's nothing that he said. There was nothing that, I mean, it was actually just, he was just lying about the most basic things. They had the record. And then they're like, well, you can get out. I look at this and I just want to scream. Because no, you have to punish him for lying. And then you have to protect the community by keeping him locked up. But instead, he gets out. Think about that. Think about that. I just can't. Anyways. You wouldn't believe it if you didn't see it. I never meant to hurt my niece. I want to be a good uncle to her. I want to be a good uncle to her. How dare you? How dare you? You know, the voice that was completely lost in this entire process was his victim, the little girl. She loses her mother. Think about that trauma. And then her uncle comes in, and for 10 years, their little secret. And then he has the audacity to say, I just want to be a good uncle to her. And they let him out. You think she's not going to find out that he gets out? It was a blink of an eye. Even in the way he described how he was found out. Oh, she was stealing stuff. He's like, are you he needs he needs justice. And we didn't get that. And it makes me sick. It just does. It makes me sick. He's a danger, and he only has 10 years on the registry. And we have seen, and sadly, we can only expect it from Connecticut, he'll be able to apply for a pardon, and they'll give it to him. Anyways, with that, I'll let you go.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Owens. This is a hearing being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Mr. Clifton Owens, inmate number 309902. You serving a total effective sentence of 25 years jail. This is a flat sentence for the charges of attempt to commit murder and risk of injury to child. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of July 1st, 2024. This is at 85% eligibility. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for this offender, which has been reviewed and shows that the offender has completed the facility-based domestic violence program and alternatives to violence basic workshops. The offender also has apparently been working as a facility chairman job in the laundry for at least a year, and he remains on the Department of Correctional waiting list for 5 or 7-day job assignment, vocational, and thresholds. And that's according to the RT3M query. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score on the RT falls within the low range of risk for recidivism. All right, Mr. Owens, this is now your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
While I was there, I've been down almost 21 years. And I realized the hurt and the pain that I've caused, not only to the victim and the victim's family, but also to mine. I know my daughter, my dad, my family, they've missed me all these years. And I realize that what we do doesn't just hurt the victim and the victim's family, but also my own family. I've learned and reflected on all these years about how in other ways to deal with situations. I need to listen. I need to communicate better and to understand that we all have problems and we all do, but we need to work together, and violence just is not the way. It hurts a lot being away from my family the way I did. At the time, I was a single dad, and my daughter has missed me greatly. And the things that we miss in life are never worth what we've done. Everybody deserves a right to life and the liberty and freedoms. And being a Christian, I went against everything I have ever believed in my whole life. I love I still love life. And God has blessed me through a lot. He's forgiven me, and He's allowed me to go on another chance. I'd love to take this opportunity to go home and to show my family, and to show that I have learned from what I've dealt with, and to just move on with life. My dad's almost 84 years old. I'll be 64 this year. We're both on dialysis. My health has been failing me. And I understand what you really can lose when you allow the things of this world to get in the way and to I've never meant to hurt anybody in my life. And yet, I did. I wish I could take that day back, and I can't. But I have realized that it's not worth hurting anybody over. My daughter's grown up without her dad. I mean, my family's been raising her, but she's missed me. So I just thank God that He blessed Sharon with her life and to still be there with her family. And I just believe that everyone deserves a second chance. And I pray that you guys feel the same way and that I get that opportunity here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Owens. We've read about your background, what you've done since you've been incarcerated. And based upon that, we have some questions for you. We're going to start asking those questions. When we get done, we're going to talk about your case and we're going to give you a decision, okay?
Okay.
We're going to start questions today with Board Member Rodriguez.
Good morning, Mr. Owens.
Good, all right, sir.
This was a very, very, very tragic case. You and the victim were friends, correct?
Yes, sir.
And but I read was correct. You had been drinking at the time of the offense?
Yes.
And did you see alcohol as a problem at the time?
Actually, at the time, I was going to school. I was a single dad. I was working, and I really didn't. The reason I drank that night was I was so angry, and I shouldn't have. And actually, I should have prayed, and I didn't. I just thought that maybe I could have a drink and pass out and go to sleep, but it didn't. It worked the opposite way. It just made me more and more angry.
Yeah, it made you very, very angry. Yeah. I appreciated your opening statement because I can't even imagine how difficult this is. To personally kind of feel how terrible this is. But I also didn't hear a lot from you about the victim in your opening statement. And I realized that you apologized. And you realized that there was impact. But I didn't hear a lot. I mean, I heard a lot about your concern over your daughter and not having seen your family, which happens if you're in prison for a long time. I mean, it's going to happen.
Yes.
But she had a family too.
Yes, she did.
And suffered quite a bit as it related to the extent of her injuries. And I just didn't hear a lot from you. I would have hoped that I would have heard a lot more from you about the impact on the victim in this particular case.
I'm sorry. I'm pretty nervous here. I've never
I can understand.
spoken a lot about this, and what she meant to me and who I did it to troubles me each and every day. I think about her. I think about her children. I think about her family. I've known them for a long time, and the fact that I hurt someone that I love so very much was it was just easier to deal with when I could put it in the back of my mind. And I wake up sometimes still crying.
Have you had an opportunity to work on some of the issues related to that?
Yes, I have. The biggest trouble that I've had is trying to forgive oneself, and it's something that's still bothering me. I've never hurt anyone in my life like that. I mean, arguing a little bit or something like that was one thing. This was a whole nother thing. And
And out of character, because you had no prior history, no other offenses, no.
I just, I just couldn't put it two together. I still am fighting myself over how and why. And I'm trying, I don't know, I haven't had any contact and I'm not going to. I just pray every day that God has blessed her with health and to be with her family and that they've gone on. And I've also, everyone keeps telling me I have to forgive myself.
So you do have to continue to work on yourself.
It's hard to forgive oneself when you've hurt someone that was so dear to you. And I don't mean to put her in because that's always in the forefront of my mind. But I pray that they have moved on. And I'm still trying to God's still working with me. I'm still a work in progress. And I know that violence is definitely not the way. It never has been. It never should have been. That never should have happened. I just allowed a lot of things in the world to burden me down, and I had no outlet for it. And I've learned now to communicate, to talk to someone, to find someone to talk to communicate the things if they're troubling me, to get them off my chest before they build up inside of me.
Yeah.
That was devastating even still. And it's hard to talk about even now, which is why I didn't really speak a lot about it, not because it's not on my mind, because it is.
Okay.
But it really weighs heavy and I get pretty emotional about it and I try to,
Okay. So let's move on to a little more something else. Let's talk a little bit about your release plan.
okay.
What services are you planning to plug in for yourself?
Well, right now I'm on dialysis. So I'm on disability. I'll be 64 years old this year. There's not a lot I can do, but my dad is also on dialysis and they want me to come home so I can spend time with him. We can go to dialysis together, spend time with my family. I'd still like to find something temporary that I could get if I can work. I can't. I don't have a lot of energy and stuff like that to work, but I do. My daughter wants me home to.
What's your relationship with your daughter like right now?
We talk every week. She's looking forward to me coming home. She'll be 25 this year. I'm the only parent, or her parents, because she hasn't been able to have a relationship with her mom because of what happened there, which was part of this journey. But she doesn't have a relationship with her whatsoever.
Do you have a relationship with the mom?
No, I do not. And
How old is your daughter now? How old is your daughter now?
She'll be 25 this year. She was 3 at the time all this happened. Yes.
Lost a lot of time with her.
And I was a single dad. I was going to school. I was working. I was trying to do things right. I guess I just took on more things than I was able. But that's no excuse for what I did. And but I realized the value of family more. I realized the value that with the time that has been lost, also that I can't have it back, but I can at least try and be there now and try and answer. I've lost a sister. I've lost my grandmother. I've lost quite a few family.
Life goes on.
It definitely goes on.
Yeah. So you took, just real quick, I'm gonna get a couple more questions and then I'm done. You completed DV,
Yes.
domestic violence. Just share what skills you learned that you're gonna bring out with you when you come out.
Well, I learned that we have to understand that domestic violence isn't always just actions, it's words too. You can say things and violate people, and we have to learn to be more loving and more compassionate. And that's between not only just domestic violence, but I also incorporate it with scriptures that I read too. And to understand that God is love and there shouldn't be any violence in whatsoever. And the things to go out and to be loving, to be forgiving, to understand that we all are going through things, and to be more compassionate with people and knowing that, hey, that person has a bad day too. I need to say kinder things and to be kinder. Going home to be with my daughter. I know talking to her on the phone is not easy. Teenagers aren't easy. I haven't been there, but I've talked enough to my parents because she's with my dad and my stepmom, and just knowing her life and living that, understanding that we really have to be more loving and forgiving, just like we expect God to be with us. And I need to be there because she needs me there. She needs to know that I'm going to be there and be there for her, not just to argue with her over situations, but to let her know that, look, this is a better way. Not to always be on someone's neck and complain about what they do, but to be loving. I want to go fishing with my dad. I want to spend quality time with her and with my family. And
okay. All right. And my last thing is around your alcohol use. Have you done any work while incarcerated around your alcohol use?
Yes, that was something that I really wasn't abusive of, but I did that night. And I don't ever plan to drink again. It's something that's not part of mine. I've done, oh God, I've talked with pastor about it. I've talked with counselors about it. It didn't seem to be something that was a problem, but it did turn out to be a problem. And that's something that I have no intentions of ever going back to again.
Have you done any work while you're there? Have you done any AA groups or anything like that? And kind of just,
I took, I did take a class. It wasn't AA, but it was about abuse of any substance, whether alcohol or drugs and I can't remember the name of the class.
You do a tier program? Tier 2? Tier 2?
No, I didn't do tier 2. No, it wasn't that. It was, oh my God, I did it when I first came in and I did it again, but it was the same.
It wasn't on your OAP. Addiction service wasn't on your
OAP. No, it wasn't on my OAP.
I'm just asking because of the event and the impact of alcohol on the event.
Right. Right. But I did address that issue and talk about that with someone. We actually addressed that during the alternative to violence because of alcoholism leading to violence. And I've dealt with anything that, even whatever deal with my attitude towards things that could deal with violence also. So
my last thing is, I just stay DR free for 21 years.
Huh?
How did you stay DR free?
Only by the grace of God. The guilt that wore on me those years, I was determined that I was going to get back to my family somehow. And that I was going to do what I needed to do to, one, get my life back on track and to do what was right.
Well, thank you so much. Listen, thank you so much for answering my questions. This was a very tragic event. I think that whatever happens today on your release, you should probably continue to seek some help. and try to continue to work through this.
Yes, sir.
But good luck to you. Chair.
Thank you, sir.
Board Member Dargan, I don't have any faults. Board Member Rodriguez.
Yes, sir.
It's gonna be for me. We're not gonna go, we're not gonna go to deliberation. Mr. Owen was involved in an extremely tragic event. A night, an event where some sort of argument happened, dispute happened. He had been drinking, and he was lucky that the individual that he was a victim in this case did not die. In fact, lived, but had a very difficult time living through the physical results of this offense. However, he served 21 years on this charge already, 25-year charge. He has remained DR free for 21 years. He has done some programming. He's worked on the laundry. Completed DV. He's completed alternatives to violence. He his opening statement took responsibility, acknowledged remorse. This is a very difficult case because of the extent of the nature of the offense itself. But I believe that Mr. Owens has really made some strides in coming to grips with the event that's taken place. And I would be inclined to grant discretionary parole. He's got his EOS is about a year and a half away. This would give us some time to have some supervision. It's a flat sentence and give some time to have some supervision out in the community. When he gets out, he does eventually want to end up in Maryland, but you'd have to work that out at some point. But if he continue a couple of things on the outside, maybe behavior management and anger management, and just kind of back up the halfway house. That's kind of where I'm at.
Board Member Dargan.
Oh, what was unique to me is it was a hard read because she wasn't in trouble with the law in the past. And you know how he was financially supportive of his daughter, and he was attending school, he was working, he, you know, always drive back and forth between Waterbury and Darien with work. And that's what I was trying to figure out. What was going on? And then I read the sentencing transcript too. The prosecutor talked, it would have been a lot longer period of time. This person was deceased or died, right? And he got a long sentence for this. It just, reading to me, it just seemed like it was total character for him. And when you were asking about the alcohol, maybe that had some way into it. But I also have.
Mr. Owens, do you have a sponsor in Maryland?
My dad, I have two sisters, my stepmom,
Okay.
and my daughter.
Anger management or DV? It's like,
Well, you took DV. I would go to anger management.
he took DV, but it's more like, it's not really.
Yeah.
And it's part of the DV anyway. It's part of the anger management is part of the DV anyway.
Right, but would it make more sense to do, because the offense itself, it didn't seem like it's a family member, it seemed like it was, it, you know, so I'm not sure. What are your thoughts on that?
I can do anger management. I'm fine with anger. Either way.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think that you said anger management.
Well, I mean, I didn't know which one, but for me, it's like, it didn't seem like necessarily a domestic event. It seemed like.
It would just give him some additional skills that he said.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, going back with family.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mr. Owens, you speak 7 different languages too?
well, I sing in 7 different languages.
Okay, I have enough trouble in English, but okay, you know, that's.
I bet you he can even sing Irish.
No, I sing classical music, and so I had to articulate in different languages. Now, basically, I speak in Spanish and English, singing gospel.
There you go. So what I have is no alcohol, halfway house, out of state plan to Maryland, community-based treatment for DV, and no contact with SD.
SD.
Well, the SD, yeah, that's fine.
So,
SD.
No, I just want the victim.
The day after your birthday, okay?
Yeah, SD.
so hang on for 1 second. So I know what that says, but hang on for one.
I know.
I got it right here. I just opened it up and it said, SD and it says decline participation.
But yeah, so yeah, and then on the sentencing transfer.
That's decline participation.
Right, so that was my conflict
Except
because
for I have to see.
I agree, I see what you said,
We can put it down.
but I see on.
I know.
Decline.
You don't wanna go to trial.
I would say, let's just go ahead.
And I saw this
Just put
part
it down.
of sentence.
Yeah, put it down, put it down.
Okay, so we're good with those?
Yes.
Okay, and we're good with 6/30/24 is our date, Officer Vasquez, right?
So June 30th, 2024,
Right, is that what it is?
the one that I said 7/1/2024, but
7/1/2020.
Okay. Regarding Clifton Owens, 309902, I move to grant parole on or after July 1st, 2024 with the following stipulations. No alcohol consumption, halfway house placement, out of state plan to Maryland, community-based treatment for domestic violence, and no contact with victim SD. Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Mr. Owens, you've been voted parole. And they're gonna work out with you how you get to Maryland. So you'll have a landing there and you'll have support as you, your end of sentence is July of next year. So you'll have a year of support on your way out. All
Yes,
right? God bless you.
thank you.
Good luck
Thank
to you.
God bless you.
hearing for Clifton Owens, 309902.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Owens, could you please have the correctional officer send in the next gentleman and thank you. Best of luck to you.
All right, thank you very much. I'm good.
You know, these Connecticut parole hearings, it just makes me appreciate Louisiana, at least when Louisiana does it right, so much more because you really would have no idea what he did. And, he was sentenced to 25 years. We're going to go over the information in the appeal. And it's just brutal. And they really treat it. And I know I feel like a broken record. But it's, again, like an opening statement when there is so little about what he had done to this woman and with the child there and it was like all about him. And it's just, there's something off and you just don't get, at least I don't get the confidence that he's still not going to be a risk, even with serving all this time. Now, the board, they were going to parole him, I guess, either way. He was, they wanted him to have some supervision before he gets out and all that type of stuff. But, they alluded to the fact give the board credit that he alluded to the fact that, hey, you this is a brutal crime and you didn't really talk about it, but it wasn't. They didn't go they didn't go into the weeds. They didn't try to get him to go there, and I just. And there's something else I'll share with you that Richard found that is just, I don't know, it's creepy or scary. But let's just first go over this crime. So he was convicted by a jury trial of attempted first degree, and he's lucky he didn't kill her because I don't know how she survived it. A miracle. And conviction of risk of injury to a child because the child was there. I believe it was his child. Let's see. So on the basis of evidence presented at trial, the jury reasonably could have found the following facts. The defendant and one of his victims had known each other for 27 years on the day of the incident in question. Additionally, for approximately 1.5 years preceding April 2003, the victim took care of the defendant's daughter every weekday while the defendant was at work. Sorry. On the evening of April 1st, 2003, around 5 p.m., the defendant had finished work and arrived at SS residence to pick up his daughter. Upon arrival, it was in front of his daughter. S explained that she was totally worn out physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and told the defendant that she would not be able to take care of his daughter any longer. After a 20-minute argument, the defendant left and proceeded to his residence and testified to having 2 tall glasses of rum and coke. The defendant returned to S's residence, so he leaves the home. He goes back to his home. He has 2 tall glasses of rum and coke. He returns back to her house at 7:45 p.m. He appears to be very upset and was ranting and raving. He then left, but returned again at 10:20 p.m. After arguing with the defendant and observing that he was starting to get very upset, S asked the defendant to leave. In response, the defendant struck her on the right temple, causing her to lose consciousness. He then stabbed her with a knife in the arm and throat area, lacerating her trachea. Hearing the loud commotion from her bedroom, her 12-year-old daughter, the victim, C, ran into the kitchen to ascertain what was occurring. When she arrived, she observed that her mother was curled up in a ball and her knees to her chest and her arms over the top of her head. And the defendant was standing next to her, yelling and screaming at her. C told the defendant to leave her mother alone. This prompted the defendant to turn towards C. He yelled at her to get the F out of here, and then he chased her by running 2 or 3 steps away towards her with a knife in his hand. This is what he now does to the 12-year-old, causing her to retreat to her bedroom. In the meantime, Minerva Contreras, who lived in the basement and who also had heard the loud commotion, came upstairs. Contreras first saw C, who told her to be careful because the defendant had chased her with a knife. She then saw the defendant walk back towards the kitchen and decided to follow him. Wow, that's brave. She observed S lying on the floor and the defendant standing over her with a knife in his hand. Contreras said that something to the defendant that caused him to turn around and drop the knife, and she is lucky, isn't she? He then kicked S in the chest and departed the residence. So it seems to me that she probably saved her life. Who knows what he was going to do? He's standing over her with the knife. Imagine walking into the kitchen and seeing a man who probably looked just completely deranged, holding a knife, blood everywhere, and he drops the knife and then kicks her for good and then walks. I mean, approximately 25 minutes after having left the residence, the defendant entered the police department and announced that he had just killed someone. Later, the defendant provided a sworn statement. And, keep in mind, all of this was triggered by her saying that she was just tired emotionally, physically, spiritually, which, and then it wasn't even like, he went back home, drank, went back there to rage, and then left again and came back. I mean, Now, he didn't kill her. He did serve 20-something years. But man, I don't know. Would you want to be his neighbor? An irrelevant part that earlier that evening, he went to a friend's house and subsequently got into an argument with that friend, female friend he had known for a long time. The argument turned violent, and his party started hitting the female, and then it occurred. It occurred in the kitchen area, so he reached in a drawer and took out a knife and proceeded to stab her. The defendant first claims that the court improperly instructed the jury on intoxication. Specifically, that the defendant argues that the court instructed. Okay, I don't know if we're going to go through the appeals, but there you have it. So what I was going to tell you, what is like, I guess, like an added, just strange scenario, is that Richard found an article where there was another in 2018 in the same home that this victim owns. So it might have been in the same home. I'm not exactly sure, but the victim owned the home and was renting it out to someone, and that person was stabbed to death in the home, if you can imagine. I mean, how is that even possible? But also, like, a similar story by her lover. So, imagine that the survivor has to find out that someone was stabbed, her tenant was stabbed in her home. It's just like some people's lives are just, it's just so hard to fathom that kind of trauma. But so there you have it. I don't know. It's interesting when someone gets convicted. It sounds like it's okay. It's attempted murder. You got 25 years. It gets out after like 21 or something. But man, doesn't time go by fast? And I guess you just have to hope that he doesn't have it in him to do it again. Anyways, with that, I'll let you go.